رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. For the hastening the return of our Imam, let's recite a salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
This evening, the scene in Karbala is a very overwhelming scene. For anyone who was there, the descriptions that we read about that scene, trying to picture it, and it's really not something that we can thoroughly picture, and even if we were to see it as an observer, is different than to be one of those that was there and experienced it. We can't have that experience. But this is the beginning of the journey of the family of Imam al-Hussein. If we think this scene is overwhelming, this is difficult, as it should be, these are women. And they saw before their eyes their husbands, their brothers, their sons, slaughtered in that way. They saw horses being prepared to trample over the bodies of the shuhada. And once the men are gone, the tents were looted. Scenes that are, each of them, so difficult to bear, so troublesome to think of, much less to experience. But is this it? The Ahlul Bayt of Imam al-Hussein now is able to go back to Medina and go back to or try to go back to normal life? No, this is just the beginning. Up to this point, before this day, before Ashura, they were waiting, they were anticipating, they knew this is coming, but they weren't actually experiencing it. Half the day would happen to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, his children, his brothers, his companions. After this half a day, which the women and children and Imam Zain al-Abidin are part of, this is where their mission now starts. They weren't just there, we've mentioned this, think about this, understand this. They weren't just there. Imam al-Hussein didn't plan this, to have them just there as observers. As, okay, you guys be here, not here, or here, doesn't make a difference. Recite a salawat, please.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
They were there for a reason. They were supposed to be observing this for a reason. And that is because they're part of the mission of Imam al-Hussein. They are supposed to be the ones who speak of what happens and get that word out, get the word of the oppressed against the oppressor out in a way, in an effective way, that, as we mentioned, just to get us to remember some of these points, it was their work. It didn't just happen on its own. That Yazid, at the end of it, he was so happy, he was so arrogant from this victory. When they arrived in Damascus, he prepared the city. He sat there with full arrogance and he invited all these different people and everything. The Ahlul Bayt flipped it upside down such that Yazid had to blame Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad for the crime. Initially he was proud, he wanted to take credit for everything. Eventually in Sham, in a matter of days, the scene changed. There was fear of a rebellion inside Sham. Companions of the Prophet saw Imam Zayn al-Abidin, saw this, spoke out, people heard things, people were killed. This was work that was done by the household of Imam al-Hussein. They weren't just there. They had a mission from this point onwards. But it's very difficult. This is what I'm trying to, hopefully in a few minutes, this is not a night to speak too long, but I want us to understand this family right now. We cry for them, but we need to also learn something from them. While we cry, while we mourn, while we shed tears, while we beat our chests, we also need to learn something if we want to be a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, if we want to tread that path. If we don't, then okay, that's fine. We want to be muhib and just do our thing and just love the Ahlul Bayt, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but if somebody wants to choose that, then okay, be straightforward with yourself. At least draw that line and say, look, I'm not even trying to be a follower of the Ahlul Bayt. I'm not trying to be a Shia. I'm trying to be a muhib. Okay, fine. You want to be a Shia of the Ahlul Bayt, you're going to tread the path of the Ahlul Bayt. That means these conditions are going to come your way, one way or another. Again, the way it appears may be different. Imam al-Hasan went through something, Imam al-Hussein through another thing, Imam Zayn al-Abidin another situation, but in essence it's the same thing. We're learning from these different scenes. Right now it's Karbala. They had a mission. They weren't just there. Every bit of it, however, is so difficult to just be an observer. I mean, Karbala is already overwhelming right there. I don't know what they're thinking of on this night. Everybody thinking, remembering a different person, just being hit by that. Mothers remembering their children, their babies. But they have to prepare themselves. Tomorrow they leave, they go to Kufa. They have a mission there. The Ahlul Bayt has a mission there. They have to see the head of Imam al-Hussein on a spear. They have to see it in the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad first, before them. It's already difficult, the memories. Now you're seeing this, and it's not only apparently him. And then they're being brought in. Aqilatu Bani Hashim used to live in Kufa. And she was the daughter of the Khalifa of the time. Think of that in that respect. Now she's being brought in as a captive. Very difficult. The words that are said, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad al-Mal'un, very difficult. But she says what she has to say. They're in Kufa, the other cities that they go to, and the main place is Sham, Damascus. The speeches of the lady Zainab, salamullahi alayha, and also Imam Zayn al-Abidin. In difficulties, some of us, some of the Muslims, some of the believers, some of the community members, all we can think of is the hardship. All we can think of is the difficulty. The only other thing we can think of is how to get out of it, and always complaining and worrying about that. The only thing on our mind is that. This is a problem that the Muslim community has dealt with, weak believers, since the time of the Prophet. The battle of Ahzab, people were gathering, the mushrikeen, alliance with the Jews. Everybody's against them. Ya ahla Yathrib la muqama lakum. Some of the people in Medina with the Prophet is what they're saying. Ma wa'adana Allah wa rasuluhu illa ghurura. These are believers with the Prophet. Now that it's becoming difficult, the mushrikeen are coming, the only thing they can think of is their difficulties. And the way out, they're like, oh my God, we had made a mistake. All these promises God made that I'm going to help you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. We're done for it. It was all a joke. It was a lie. Ma wa'adana Allah wa rasuluhu illa ghurura. You understand that? They tricked us. God tricked us. The Prophet tricked us. They're so overwhelmed with this hardship, with this difficulty. That has not even happened. It's just hearing that, oh my God, all the tribes have united against us. And today we have a similar situation. As soon as something, 9/11 happens, some people are just, okay, how can we avoid? People who believe you need to have this big beard, 9/11 happened, clean shaven. Can we take hijab off? Can we do this? Can we not talk about this? Can we not talk about that? The only thing we can think of is the difficulty, a hardship. And sometimes it's not even a hardship, it's fear of hardship. That's how bad we are sometimes. Fear of hardship and difficulty. When the Ahlul Bayt of Imam al-Hussein, they were coming with him. I gave an entire speech last year in Seattle on this. And it's something that needs to be mentioned. We need to talk about this. Don't think that Imam al-Hussein took the Ahlul Bayt, his women and children, and they were just like, okay, we have no clue where we're going. We just hope that we're going to go to this very happy life in Kufa or something. They knew what they were getting themselves in. They chose to be there. Those women chose. Don't think they didn't have any part to play. They just happened to be there. Okay, now, no, from the beginning, before it happened, they walked into this deliberately, knowingly, willingly. That was their decision. Knowing what? Knowing the hardships that are coming overall. You don't know the specifics, what exactly is going to happen, but you know this is trouble. Okay. All those men decided not to join. These women decided to join. When everybody was afraid of the consequences, in Medina, Imam al-Hussein's brother, Lady Zainab's husband, they were afraid of the consequences, and all those who didn't join, they were afraid of the consequences. It's not even hardship, it's fear of hardship, fear of difficulty. Then when difficulty does come their way, when hardship does come their way, again, some of us, the only thing we can do is just think about that. And I think the only other thing, as I said, is how to get out of this. And then one of the things that we do in these conditions is that if someone is leading that group or whatever, all we can do is go to that person and complain. This is not how the Ahlul Bayt of Imam al-Hussein were. They weren't constantly going to Imam Zayn al-Abidin complaining about the situation. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin, besides all the hardship, have to carry the hardship and the burden of hearing all the complaints of this and that. This is important. Think about this. We do go through these things. We go to Muslim countries that have gone through a good change, a positive change led by great believers. And then with that hardship comes as well. There are hardships. And sometimes the only thing we hear from some people is just complain, 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 complain. What? The only thing on the person's mind is just hardships and difficulty. And some of it is made up too. It's not even that hard. Just whispers of the shaitan. Shayateen, that's what they do. And then these people hear it and they just regurgitate that. And don't think it's for those countries. I'm saying that this is important for us. Don't think if the Imam, or when the Imam of our time comes, if we join as soon as he comes, okay, suddenly everything is just going to change. Imam Al-Hujjah Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif is going to raise his Dhul Fiqar and then just, I don't know, tap the earth or something. Suddenly everything is changed. Now we're going to live nice and good lives. No, absolutely not. That's not how things work in this realm. There will be hardships, there will be difficulties. And then some of us who weren't prepared for that, we thought when the Imam comes, everything is going to be nice and easy. We're praying, Allahumma kulli waliyik, ilahi azum al-bala, Allahumma ajjal li waliyik al-faraj. All of these great du'as, now the Imam is there, the only thing we can think of is like, my house lost its value. What am I going to do next day? For my job, what about this? What about that? That's all I could think of. Hardships, difficulties of what I'm going to deal with, or when the hardship comes, and then all I do is complain, talk about it. Now who are you talking about? Who are you complaining about? The consequence of the movement of Imam Al-Hujjah Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif in the motherland of Islam, it will affect the lives of those who live outside of that, especially those who live in countries governed by governments that are against the Imam, including us. Well, what are we going to do? Well, this happens. Or we're going to be of those who abandon before it even comes out of the fear of hardship. Or we're going to be of those that when hardship comes, not only will we not complain, we will be happy about that. We'll be happy to carry a small burden of the movements of the 12th Imam. The Ahlul Bayt teach us this. I don't know if I can get this across, or even if I fully understand this. The lesson I want to take, let me state it from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا. تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا. الذين قالوا ربنا الله. We all say we believe in Allah. However, it doesn't say for this person or that person. If you say you believe in Allah, Allah is going to put you in tests. And some of the most difficult tests are in social movements like Imam al-Hussein's. Like the Prophet's movement. That was a social political movement too. Like Amir al-Mu'mineen's movement. When Amir al-Mu'mineen, they came to his door, they begged him to lead the people. Amir al-Mu'mineen, right at the beginning, day one, he said, okay. Now they said, we want this. He said, no. He said, yes. Back and forth. He finally agreed. They came, they did their bay'ah. He speaks to the people in the Jama' there, the masjid in Medina. And he says, look, things have now gone back to how it was during the time of the Prophet. You're going to be going through tests. لَتُغَرْبَلَنَّ غَرْبَلَهِ. Have these are where difficult tests are. But everybody goes through tests. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you say you believe in Allah? Okay, let's test you. 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, more and more difficult. Social political ones even more difficult than all the others. Who will succeed? الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. Perseverance. Okay. Perseverance. We need this lesson. The Ahlul Bayt, the women in Karbala, besides the Imam, I want to focus on the women. The Imam Zain al-Abidin is leading it, but as followers, we want to look at the example of these great followers, the women in Karbala. They have a mission. Just picture, just imagine this. Imagine these people, and remember, we all know, it is, I think, common knowledge that women have more emotions. Now, women who've been through that scene, that overwhelming scene of Karbala, ordinary women would be consumed by the memories, by the thoughts, by the experience, the hardship. And these women were not only not consumed by it, yes, they did cry, they were affected by it, but they weren't carried from city to city as a depressed group of people just waiting death. I don't know if you've seen people like that, people who've lost everything, just have no hope in life. That's a depressed person. That's a person who's lost everything and they're consumed by those thoughts. That's how they're going to be. They feel like they have lost everything. There's no hope for the future. I don't see any light there. Just walking around with depression. They have to be dragged. They don't feel like doing anything. Just kill me. That's the way such a person would be. Did the Ahlul Bayt go from city to city like that? Is that how they were? In the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, is that how they were? Were they being affected and impacted from the outside by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, by the others there? Were the others dictated what happens to them? Or is it they who had control of that session? It's the latter, it's the second. That's how it was. They had control. How could they have control of this session? They're being brought in as captives. Besides the experience, again, think of this. They are bringing you into a session where everybody's gathered to cheer and celebrate the victory over you. You are brought in with chains.